Good morning, children. Today in Social Science and Economics in Class 9, we continue the chapter Food Security in India. The public distribution system was introduced in the country. Now, let's see what is the current status of public distribution system. In the beginning, the PDS, that is the public distribution system coverage, was universal. That meant that this was a system for everyone, with no discrimination between the poor, the non-poor and the rich. So it was meant for everybody. But in 1992, a revamped public distribution system was started in 1700 blocks of the country so that the benefits could be provided through this system, that is the PDS, in the remote and the backward areas. Because earlier they were neglected. The poor people living over there were neglected. In 1997, a targeted public distribution system, or what is called as a TDPS, was introduced to target the poor in all areas, with a lower issue price for food grains for them compared to the price paid by the others, that is the non-poor. So gradually it came to be realized that the poor people were the ones who needed more help and support, and that is how this targeted public distribution system 1997 was introduced, basically to help the poor people most of all, so that they could buy the food grains at a lower price. Then in 2000, two special schemes, Antyodaya Yojana, that is AAY, and Annapurna scheme was launched. This was along with this system only. Now, what did these schemes mean? What were they meant for? The Antyodaya Yojana, or AAY scheme, was launched in December 2000 for the poorest of the poor. That means the people who were extremely poor. Now, under this scheme, 1 crore of the poorest among the BPL families would mean below poverty line. So, under this scheme, that is the Antyodaya Yojana, 1 crore of the poorest among the BPL families were covered under this targeted public distribution system. Now, how did one come to identify them? It was through a survey. That is, a survey for the poor families were identified, that is the BPL families, and with this 25 kilos of food grains were made available to each family, that is to each eligible family who came in this category, that is below poverty line, at a highly subsidized rate of 2 rupees for wheat and 3 for rice. Later on, in April 2002, the quantity was increased to 35 kilo of wheat. So we see that this Antyodaya Yojana scheme was launched in 2000, December 2000, and it was meant for the poorest of the poor. And in this, 1 crore of the poorest were identified, and the price of rice and wheat was fixed for them, and the quantity was also available for them. So we see that how it has helped the poor people. Now we come to the next scheme, or the other scheme that we have, that is the Annapurna scheme. Now this is what we call as the APS scheme. That is, the APS scheme was introduced for the indigent senior citizens. That means for the senior citizens who did not have any pension, they were not getting any pension, or they had no family support, or they had no source of income at all. So this is basically meant for those people. So this Annapurna scheme was introduced for these senior citizens, and through this scheme, it provided 10 kilo food grains free of cost to these senior citizens, whoever were not receiving any pension or had no source of income or were destitute, as they had no family support also. Now we come to the rationing. Now rationing was introduced in 1940s against the backdrop of Bengal famine. That is, after the Bengal famine, this rationing was introduced And later on it was revived due to acute food shortage, and gradually, as we know that the population continued to increase, so there was a lot of food shortage, and this was before the Green Revolution. So during the 1960s, before the Green Revolution was introduced. So after the Green Revolution was introduced, of course, things dramatically changed in our country, where the food production increased a great deal. But before that, this this challenge, this shortage of food was faced by the people. This rationing is actually the government controlled distribution of resources and scarce goods. That means ration, that means it restricts how much people are allowed to buy at a particular time within a particular period. So rationing means that so that everybody gets, so people are allowed to buy a certain quantity at a particular time within a specific or a particular period. So that is what we call as rationing. Now, the public distribution system definitely helped many, but at the same time, there were certain malpractices also observed in the public distribution system. In many regions that we see, that there have been malpractices and the system has not been very effective. Now, there were certain drawbacks or certain problems. Now, one was diverting the grains to open market to get better margin. The people who were running these shops, the fair price shops that we have, the public distribution system, through the fair price shops, these food grains and essential commodities are sold to the people. So what these people who were running these fair price shops, some of them, not all of them of course, but some of them began to divert the grains to the open market, and in order to earn more profit, in order to earn more money. Then second problem was also that they began to sell poor quality grains at these ration shops. Now, when poor quality grains are sold at the shops, sometimes people were not in favor, or people did not wish to buy these poor quality grains. Then third was the irregular opening of the shops. That was one of the major drawbacks, one can say, that these shops did not open as per the schedule. Sometimes they would open in the morning, sometimes they would open in the afternoon or evening. So this irregularity was also one of the major drawbacks of this system. Then black marketing sometimes, that the people, the shopkeepers who were running these fair price shops, sometimes they indulged in black marketing in the sense that they overcharged the people. They said that it is not available, but if they wish to buy at a higher price, it could be possible. So that is what another malpractice that they indulged in rather. So we see that all these malpractices naturally made it did not be as effective, did not work as effectively as was expected. In some states, of course, the consumers suffered also, but if the proper supervision can be carried out, it can definitely become more effective. So we see that if there is a proper supervision on these people who are running these fair price shops, these ration shops, to ensure that proper quality grains, good quality grains are sold to the people, the shops open at regular times, right? And that they are not allowed to sell the grains into the open market, and rather try to help the people who come at the shop, definitely a lot of people would be helped. Thank you.